Hi guys! Okay, today, continuing with the 10 C's of Dave Canterbury, we're going to go to cover statement. Okay, like most of the points in this series, it's a simple statement, but it covers a much bigger topic. Okay, so when we're saying cover element, this relates to multiple things within our kit. Okay. The most obvious would be what kind of tarp we're running, or what type of, tarp or cover or whatever. In my haversack, my Blackbird haversack, my cover element is a small sil nylon tarp that's just big enough for an emergency shelter, and that's it. I carry a couple of little stakes in there and a couple of little bit of cords. It's just small, handy, and light, and that's my emergency grab cover element. So when I grab this, I have a cover element. But it's beyond that. It really is. Cover element starts with your clothing and then goes outward. And what it's talking about is being environmentally aware of what your situation is. Am I wearing proper clothing for the environment? So let's start at skin level and come out in cover. How are you covering? Okay. Do I need waterproof boots? Do I need hiking boots? Do I need water socks if I'm going to be walking in the water a lot, barefoot basically, put on a pair of those water socks, and because we're walking in the stream bed looking for stuff. Okay. Pants. Do I need shorts? Do I need pants? Do I need something that dries quickly or something that keeps the heat off me? Or do I need warmth? Do I need a layer underneath this of polypro or stuff for warmth in the environment? My top covering, my shirt, do I need it for windproof? Do I need it for temperatures? Do I need something that is very airy and dries quickly in the summer for sweat and heat? Do I need a neckerchief or something, some sort of element that I can adapt quickly to cover my face, cover my whatever, get rid of mosquito bites, whatever. That's what a cover element. My hat is a cover element because it protects my face from sticks and stuff, wary snakes you find in trees occasionally, and other threats, and in a rainstorm or whatever, it kind of protects my head. It has multiple uses. My tarp, or my tarp in my haversack, is my cover shelter element. Okay, what are we doing? Well, we're going out hiking, we're going to go look, and we're not spending the night, we're coming back. Then the cover element of what I'm wearing and what I've got in here in case I have to stay is adequate. But what if I'm going one step up? Well, we're going to be going, and we're going to be gone several days. Well, then my cover element needs to increase my comfort element. See? Now I need my hammock. Now I need my bigger tarp. Now I need my sleeping bag or my blanket or my whatever is appropriate for this environment to cover me. Maybe I need a underquilt to go onto my blanket, to go onto my hammock because of the temperatures. This would be my cover element for comfort in that. Maybe all I need is just a poncho or a tarp setup, something like this that a friend of mine created, which is nothing but the tarp and things. I'll go over this later, but it's a small tarp set. Maybe this will be adequate to my needs. What are my needs, and does my components cover that comfort level? I understand why he chose the word cover, but me personally, I think of it as comfort, okay? Because this adds a lot of comfort to me. This adds a lot of comfort. Proper clothing adds a lot of comfort. The cover element is covering my backside so that I'm going to enjoy my time out there. It's a simple statement, but it really is opening up a book here on what it is. Now, for you that are starting out, Blackie, I'm just getting into it, I have no idea, okay? My recommendation is start small, build your skills. So start with a haversack. It doesn't have to be big or elaborate. It can be something that you improvise initially just to see if you're going to be doing this. You know, for many years I carried a U.S. military butt pack with a carrying sling on. That was my haversack. Later it evolved down to where it was just an ammunition pouch with a covering sling. That was my quote haversack because of my skill level. And as your skill level increases, you will need. But here's the checklist you should go through. 1, is my clothing adequate for what I'm about to do? A case in point, we had a camp out where we were going to do a day hike in about 4 or 5 miles and then spend the night and come back out and run just our haversacks. A run what you brung type deal. And that day it hit 79. That night it was 28. So, do you dress for the 78 or do you dress for the 28? You have to dress for the 28 and then peel off layers because you have to add the layers to be comfortable at 28 as being opposed to 78. Now, one of the guys that went with me, he didn't. He dressed for middle of the road with his plan of he would be a little uncomfortable in warmth during the day, but at night he'd be a little uncomfortable on the cool side, but he'd build a bigger fire and make a better shelter for comfort. So he carried a better tarp in his haversack to cover that. Where I had a very small tarp, but the clothing I carried allowed me to do the temperature, and the tarp was just a cover. You know, it was something to put over me. I kept a fire going around me, and actually what it was a U.S. Army poncho. I draped it around me as a sort of a shelter this way as a heat reflector, and I made me a bed at the base of a tree. Made me like a squirrel nest. I could sit down, recline back, be comfortable, and put a nice big fire directly in front of me with the tarp acting as a heat catch for me. And I slept very well. I only had to wake up 1 or 2 times during the night to stoke the fire back up. But it was because of my cutting tool, my kukri, I could create the fire. This is a pendulum. Be absolutely comfortable, you're going to have to carry more weight. To be absolutely as light as you can be, you're going to have to admit you're going to be uncomfortable. Where do you want to be in it? And that is why you have to be aware at the beginning. What is my cover requirements? See? So, for example, this underquilt is big and bulky. And then you look at the tarp and the hammock that would go with it would be equal to this size again. So 2 of these. This ain't going in a haversack. Now I've got to carry a rucksack to carry this, or find some way to lash it to me or a way to carry it. See? And so now your cover becomes more and more important. What is your comfort? What is your cover? They're interconnected. When I was a young man and we were doing what today you'd call survival campouts, where it was an absolutely bare minimum kit, and we'd spend 72 hours in the woods where you had to make every shelter, make every fire, make everything. It was, you know, super light, super little stuff. And you just had to resolve yourself to the fact that it's going to suck at times. It really is. But we weren't toting any weight. I think my entire rig was about 10 pounds, you know, other than the clothing I was wearing. And all it was a poncho, a small box of matches, a canteen cup cook set, a knife. That was it. It was like 10 pounds, 10.4 ounces, 10 pounds 4 ounces I think we weighed at one time, other than the clothes we were wearing. And we were going to spend 3 days with that. Well, we did. Was it uncomfortable at times? Absolutely. But in the conditions, the temperature didn't go that low. The temperature was only going to be like 65 that night. So a fire and a heat reflector, the poncho took care of that. What if it rains? Well, that's where my poncho comes in. It was rain gear as well as shelter. I could use it to catch water, to refill my canteen. I could use the matches for this. But you see my point. The cover is your camp. It's your comfort level. So what is your comfort level? If you go light, like sil nylon ponchos, sil nylon tarps, very light, they're not that durable. They're very susceptible to damage from flame, heat, they'll crinkle up, whatever. You're talking thin plastic. Man, that thing's light as all get out. This is the size of a U.S. Army poncho, actually a little bit bigger. And yet, it's that small. It weighs nothing. But I've got to be aware of it. One spark off a fire, and there's a hole that big in it if it don't just completely disintegrate right in front of your eyes. So I've got to be aware of it. Now, would a heavier poncho do better? Or a heavier tarp? Yes. I'm going to be out here for a week and there may be storms. I'm definitely going to want a stronger built tarp. Will this one last in the long run? No. These blue and silver tarps are adequate, they're cheap, they're replaceable, but ultimately they're plastic. And so therefore they don't last that long. They will give up. So that's where a much more durable tarp comes in, like a canvas tarp or like other materials that are extremely strong and long lasting. And you're going to pay a price for that. For those starting out, don't do your money that way yet. Start out. Find your comfort level. Go buy a cheap tarp. These are cheap and replaceable. You know, a lot of times you can get them at Harbor Freight for a couple of bucks on sale. Practice with it. Is it bulky? Yes. Is it noisy? Yes. Is it something that when I screw up, I'm not out a lot of money? Absolutely. Now, I could definitely get a decent size, something I'm going to use for camping tarp for under 10 bucks. Add in my own stakes, add in my own cords and everything else, and like you see here, make it into a viable shelter system right there. Learn to configure tarps, because tarps are by far the most adaptable of all the shelters. I can turn it into 70 or 80 configurations, just depending on what my conditions are and how I set it. This and a small pocket hammock absolutely gets me up off the ground. Now I've got more choices of it. But ultimately, the cover is your comfort level. And before you go, I need my clothing. I need what are the conditions going to be expected. I'm going to carry what is adequate for that. And then I'm going to have a little bit extra, a little redundancy. So if I've got my rucksack and I'm carrying my bigger tarp and all, because that's going to be my shelter, my full-size hammock, my sharp and everything else. In my haversack, it's still going to be that small emergency tarp, my small sil nylon, because it can be used to augment that. If I get blowing rain that's going to come under, I can put it up in addition to the bigger tarp to block the wind and the rain coming from that way. If I'm now going to leave base camp and you and I are going to go walk the river down here for a mile or so, or 2 miles, scouting and looking for resources, looking for chaga, looking for fat light or whatever, I've got it with me. It's with my haversack. It's my comfort level at the smallest amount. And therefore, you're always prepared. Always think about cover. What is my shelter? What is my sleep system? How am I carrying it? All of that is your cover element, and therefore needs to be addressed for comfort. You can do without, but you will not be comfortable. The conditions got to be just right for you to be comfortable without having some sort of cover to go with it. I hope this answers some questions for you guys and kind of, opens up the topic a little bit more for you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll be happy to address them. I will be doing the rest of these 10Cs videos. I'm not doing them in any particular order, but I will be doing the rest of them, and I'll be moving on to other topics. But if there's some other topic or something in this 10Cs that I've already covered, or you're going to like to see me cover, and you'd like me to go more in depth about some element of it, like I want to know how to set up a tarp shelter set, something ready to go to carry, let me know, and we will do that. We will carry it. I'm so very grateful for y'all for supporting my channel, and I'm here to try to help you any way I can. We're here to share the knowledge. I've got all my years of experience, or what my granddad used to call savvy, and I'm trying to share it with you. So please ask them questions. I'll be happy to tell you what I know. So before you go, guys, please do me a favor and hit that like, share, and subscribe button for me. I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, guys, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.